The last series we have to talk about would be the Knicks versus Pacers. They split the series 1-2, meaning the Knicks won 1, the Pacers won 2, blowouts in 2, a narrow win in 1. In my opinion, with this series, if this is what it ends up being, I think defense is going to be a huge part because the Knicks, when their offense has been strained and stretched to like the absolute maximum, and when they've played the Pacers this season, they've shot 32% from 3, which is absolutely terrible. And as a team, they shot 44% from the field. In their one win, they somehow limited Halliburton to 15 points, and Jalen Brunson dropped 40. I think we're gonna that that is the only way they're gonna win that series is absolute defense, limiting Halliburton and that Miles Turner Halliburton duo. And it's going to be another Jalen Brunson willing the team to victory. And then other series will play out differently, but to me, defense is going to be the key there, at least for our Knicks win.
Yeah, the Knicks, man, love to watch them, love the way they play. They're just understaffed, you know what I mean? Like, they're limping into the playoffs, and they didn't have a real, particularly great team to begin with, but, they can beat anybody. They can even beat the Celtics. Not saying they will. I'm saying they could.
I don't think they could beat the Celtics.
I don't think they could. I'm saying they could, but they won't. I didn't say they will. I'm saying they could. They could. They beat the Celtics. I mean, they just beat them by, 15 the other day? And that was, a pretty important game.
No, but in a 7-game series, I feel like it's a little different.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The absolute most successful season, that would be blowing New York fans out of the water. I mean, like, New York, the streets will be filled with orange and blue, and everyone will be going excited. They just have to make the Eastern Conference Finals, and to me, that's like a button, or what do you call it, a bow on such a great season where they don't really have, like, everyone has been stretched so far with all the injuries they've had to overcome. Jalen willing the team to victory. You have Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, who DiVincenzo's a mainly offensive player, but both those guys have been stretched so far thin and asked to do so much more than they normally otherwise would have. Josh Hart, he's had like 5 triple-doubles since January. I don't even know. I wonder if he even knew he can play that way and play up to that potential. So it's a testament to the entire team sticking together and probably playing better than they otherwise thought they could. Call that Jalen Brunson bringing out the potential. Call that Thibs sticking with and believing in his guys. Julius Randle isn't coming back. OG is, but that still is. There is no reliable shooting and scoring outside of Jalen Brunson. So I think that's why a lot of these series are going to come down to defense and 90s style, like relentless play that they've shown the entire year and to win any series.
Well, no, I don't know. They've got the Villanova boys come up with DiVincenzo and Hart. I mean, they know how to win games and they know how to play, so they'll be all over. Every time I watch the Knicks, it's frustrating that they're down by 10. I go eat something and I come back and all of a sudden they're up by 5. Somehow those guys scrapped for loose balls and got it. But I think the big thing, if they can win a couple of series, I think the only way they're going to do it is if Mitchell Robinson can somehow stay healthy, Hartenstein can get healthy again, and OG can stay healthy. I mean, his elbow could flare up at any time. So,
but to me,
if the three of them are playing, then they got a shot to win some series until they run into the Celtics.
I think, but they got a shot. I'm just going to keep saying it. Defense is what they have a shot. Even Hartenstein. I mean, seeing him for the first time, I think last season, it was kind of like, okay, the Knicks are just still so mediocre. What do we just pay $100 million for Brunson? You want to talk about overpaying? What's going on? He's been an absolute anchor for that defense, surprisingly, since the beginning of this season. And now Miles McBride.
Oh, he doesn't look too bad either, yeah.
No, he was playing maybe 5 minutes a game earlier this season. Now he's up to, with all the injuries he's had to play like 30 minutes a game in some cases. And that, outside of Jalen Brunson, is what I mean. He's been a reliable weapon from deep and a reliable scorer, aside from maybe DiVincenzo and even Josh Hart. Love him. He's like, 6'4", putting up like 15 rebounds a game. Absolute hustle player. He shoots 30% from 3, and maybe I would guess maybe 40% from the field. if the game's on the line, I expect him to make it. But throughout a game, it's all Jalen Brunson, and one guy aside from Jalen Brunson always ends up pulling his weight, maybe scoring over 20 points a game. But they need, to me, to advance and actually be finals contenders. OG's been a great addition, but I think it's kind of like the Thunder, where they were last year. Shai put up essentially the same numbers as this year. Mm-hmm. I would swear if you put the stats from last year onto this year, you wouldn't really tell. But they added Chet, and that opened up the entire offense. And it's not like Shai had to relinquish his stats in any type of way, but now they're a 3 seed. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So I think the Knicks still have that one player. They're probably still one player away from being finals contenders or legitimate threats in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I forgot. You always, Thibs is a very frustrating coach to watch. Mm-hmm. But his teams clearly overperform, especially in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I forgot about Bogdanovich. He doesn't seem to be playing. He's not kind of on his main rotation, but Bogdanovich is also a money player, mm-hmm. and he can make big shots, and he can carry a team in the playoffs. He can put up, 35 points if they can somehow get it. And he's a willing defender. He's not the greatest defender, but he does hustle. He does play. He doesn't stop playing. I forgot about him. So I think if you add all that up, I mean, OG and Hartenstein, I have no idea how they can have the record that they have with Hartenstein as the center of that team. But you watch him and with a bad Achilles too, mm-hmm. so he's hobbling and he's but they're doing it, So
but that's what I mean as far as like the absolute potential being drawn out of these players because of these crazy injuries. Hartenstein might not be playing as much if Mitchell Robinson didn't go down, if Julius Randle didn't go down. They both did, and he absolutely stepped up to the plate, and call that coaching, call that whatever you want. But he's totally overperforming, like you said.
Yeah.
You just mentioned Bogdanovich. I would love to get the insight of playing for Thibs, because you remember Richard Hamilton when he was on the Bulls?
Yeah, he didn't play it.
Yeah, Bogdanovich. I remember the trade, and everyone was like, dude, we absolutely fleeced the Pistons. How do we get Alex Burks and Bogdanovich for what we gave up? Bogdanovich is going to be the missing piece, because like I was just saying, where Brunson needs another scorer, another option to take the load off. Dude, I feel like I never see him on the court. I want to know the insight to okay, do you just make one mistake during practice and maybe complain a little bit, and Thibs is just like, dude, you're out. I'm not playing you anymore. You're done. Because he does that so much with players that you just don't expect it.
Yeah, like Bogdanovich hustles, okay? Richard Hamilton, man, he was a total hustle player. He played defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, he didn't stop running. He never played him. I don't know what it takes to get. I mean, Fournier. I mean, didn't play him. I mean, if you're down by 15 points, it's like, okay, can you stick him in there and make some threes? Okay.
He's one of the guys we got rid of. It didn't make any sense. The guy, we needed shooting, we needed scoring. We had Fournier just like collecting dust on the bench.
Yeah.
Like what was that? What is with this guy?
I don't know. And why didn't they pick up Joe Harris? I mean, if nothing else, take a flyer on him, man. Like, pay him an NBA minimum, get him on your team, and see if he can still shoot. I know he can, man. That guy was absolutely the best shooter I've ever seen in games. And if you get him on and get him comfortable, and he also hustles too. I mean, he might have slowed down with his, knee or Achilles. I think not Achilles, but his ankle or something. Maybe he slowed down. I haven't really seen him they didn't play him in Detroit, so I don't know what happened there. But he hustled. He played defense. I mean, he's not a guy that stands around or anything like that. He doesn't take plays off. I mean, why not? If you could have Bogdanovich and Joe Harris bombs away if you're down by 20 and you need to get back into a game.
That's the thing with Thibs. Bogdanovich would do essentially the same thing Joe Harris would for a team, and Bogdanovich, he's probably averaging 8 to 10 minutes a game. So there wouldn't be a point of kind of signing a guy like Joe Harris, even though it may make sense.
It wouldn't cost anything.
No.
I mean,
I don't get it.
Why not have the best shooting percentage of all time? And by the way, he's not a typical shooter. He does play defense, and he can get to the basket too. Anyway. We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens.